welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a place where I talk about what I've been knitting and sewing each month, and yeah, I just generally have a chat and catch you up on what projects I've been making. So I'm going to pop my tea down. I've got a new tea today. It smells amazing. It's I think it was a cranberry and clementine blend from M&S that a friend gave me for Christmas, so I'll pop that down. And I'll show you, I've got one finished object today, so I'll start with that. And it was something that I showed you last time. This is the Helsing hat by Lenny Hoy, and I think it might be Leanie Hoy, but basically, yeah, it's just a very simple 1x1 rib hat in a really soft, lovely cozy knit. It's this is the Fiberco Canopy worsted, which is actually a discontinued yarn now, but you might be able to find it on a Ravelry D-stash. But any lovely soft nice wool would work for these kind of hats. I'm sure you've seen lots of these about, but this is the Wild Ginger colourway, if you were wondering. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how that turned out. I followed the pattern. My gauge was a little bit different because this was a heavier weight. This is a worsted weight. Can't remember exactly. I'll put the details for the pattern in the show notes, which will just be below this video if you want to click that link. But I have a feeling that the pattern was written maybe for a DK. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how that turned out, and very happy. So I've been wearing that lots, and you can see actually I've worn it loads, and it doesn't particularly look worn, so it's actually a really good yarn for holding up well. Some of the really super soft ones, they peel really easily and just start looking a little bit tatty if you've been wearing them loads, but this has really kept its shape. And yeah, happy with the decrease section, and yeah, really pleased with that. It's not too much to say about it. It's a very simple hat, but it's nice to have something finished. So yeah, that's one of the things I've been working on, and I'll tell you what I'm wearing because it's connected to the next project. So I'm actually wearing the Deep Moss Pop sweater, which is by Helen Rain for the Fiberco, and this is in the Fiberco yarn. It's Law in the Heaven colourway, and it connects to my other project because I'm actually knitting it again, which you will know if you've been watching, because I've talked about needing just something that I knew was going to work, a nice simple project that I knew would fit, would look great, was enjoyable to knit. I wasn't going to have any problems with the construction or anything like that. So yeah, I talked about that before, but just really needed something like this, especially over Christmas where I was really busy with work. Yeah, I just needed something quite mindless, and it's definitely mindless now because it's got to the body. So you can see that I have separated for the sleeves. I think when I showed this to you last, I was still up in the yoke section, which you can see Law is so beautiful for this kind of textured yoke. I mean, anything like cabled sweater or something would be beautiful in this. This is the sable colourway. I'm not sure if I said that, but yeah. So you can see it's a nice kind of straight fit. I don't think there wasn't any shaping on the body. It hangs really nicely. I have worn this so much, and yeah, no like pilling really, very little. You can maybe see a little bit, but I mean, it's just such a good hard wearing yarn. I find it, it's like a really nice woolly, I don't know if I'd call it rustic, maybe rustic. It's a really woolly, proper wool yarn, I would think, of calling it. And I find it comfortable to wear next to the skin. I mean, everybody's level's different. Like if you say soft, I'm thinking like kitten soft. It's not soft like a kitten, but for me this is a really comfortable yarn. It keeps you really cozy, so it's a great one for sort of winters here in the UK, and I'm really excited to have another one. You can see I've done this in like a nice kind of turquoise shade, and I've gone for something more classic, which is why I have done this again. You maybe have noticed if you've watched my podcast for a while that quite often I do the same pattern again, and yeah, I really like, if I like a pattern, and I'm probably the same way that with sort of basics, if I find something that I like in the shops, I'd maybe buy it in a couple of different colours. So yeah, not every day maybe I'm going to want to wear this colour, but this is the kind of shade that I think is really classic, and yeah, I can imagine wearing this lots as well, and it gives quite a different look to what I've got already. So yeah, so I'm really happy with that, and got that in one of my big sweater sacks. And this kind of leads on. I feel like everything I've got today is sort of leading on to one another, because I actually had a customer contact me a while ago, and she was saying that she felt that this was a little bit too big for what she wanted, but my regular drawstring size bag was maybe a little bit too small, and could I recommend something in between, that maybe we could do something custom. And yeah, I was happy to do that, and I've done that with a few people. But when I sewed up this bag, I was so happy with the size. I mean, I don't know if it will look that different in the picture. Yeah, you can kind of get an idea. So this, I think, would fit. I have worked this out. I think this will fit about 13 skeins of fingering weight yarn in the big sweater sack. So you could use that for a blanket, sweater, anything like that. And I have looked at this one. This one's more like about 9 skeins. So it's still great for sweaters. It's a nice roomy bag, so if you've got like a really big multicoloured shawl or a project like that, this is the kind of bag that would be great for that, because you can fit quite a lot in the drawstring bags. If you're happy to sort of have them a little bit overstuffed, I've definitely put sort of sweaters and shawls in my regular size drawstring bags, but this is just a little bit more roomy. And yeah, so when she requested this, it's 15 by 15 inches. And it's the exact same style as the sweater sack, but yeah, it's just a slightly different size, and I loved it so much that I made one for myself. And once I started using that, I was like, I need to put this in the shop. So you will find these in the shop now, and it's kind of set the ball rolling for me getting all of my projects with these prints onto all the different products I've got. So I've been working away at that this week, sort of updating the shop a bit. So I've got this new size, and I decided to do it in the sock size as well. So I haven't got any socks to show you today, but if you were interested, I thought I'd give you a quick little look at that. So I've done the sock sacks and done the little DPN cozies to match those as well, if you're into doing socks and things like that. So yeah, so I've got those, and the other thing that I added was the little notions pouch as well. So I've done a small notions pouch, so you've kind of got the whole set. I'll give you a peek at what I've got inside. What have I got in here? Got things like my T-pins, a little vial of what do you call those? Needles with threading in my ends. Got a pair of snips. Got my tins of stitch markers, and what else? Tape measure and pencil. All very exciting stuff. I'm sure it's exactly what you've all got in your little notions pouches, but yeah, I thought I'd give you a quick look at those. I'll leave a link to the shop below, and you can have a look if you're interested in knowing those bits. But I won't waffle on too much about the shop stuff, because I know you're here for the knitting. So what did I have in this bag? Started talking about the bag, I didn't actually show you. So this is a nice project, and I'm really excited to be working on this, because this is for a very, very good friend. He's having a baby, and baby's due in a matter of weeks actually. So need to get working on this. But I will show you. This is going to be a little bit tricky because it's on circulars, but this is the Twinkle Twinkle baby blanket by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and I think you can see that lovely pattern. I think in the pattern it's called a star shape, but yeah, it's creating this really, really lovely pattern. And so this is the centre. I thought it'd be really hard to show you, but it actually doesn't look too bad. It's got quite a good body, this yarn. I'm using King Cole, which is their bamboo cotton, and it's a 50/50 bamboo cotton blend. And I chose this yarn because I saw another project on Ravelry by Tink Hickman, and she had done the blanket in the same colour. And it looked beautiful, so I went with that. It's an inexpensive yarn for a blanket. I think it's a really, really good price, and the most important thing is that it's going to be really easy to take care of, because the person that I'm gifting it to isn't a knitter, and yeah, I just want something really easy that if there's any accidents or something, then she can throw it in the wash and don't need to worry. So yeah, I'm really excited to give this to her because I think she's going to really like it. I've got some other little bits. I've got some little baby grows and some slippers for her and chocolates and things. I'm going to put a little package together for when the baby comes. But yeah, I think she's really going to like this. And it's a DK weight yarn, so in the pattern I'm supposed to be working this on 4.5mm needles, but I don't know if you'll see, but should I show that? It's a really fine yarn. It's like, I feel like it looks more like a fingering weight yarn when I'm knitting it up. I suppose it's heavier because it's a cotton bamboo blend, but basically I started knitting it and I've kept it on the needles so I could show you because I thought it would be quite interesting to see. But this is how it was looking, and you can just see that it's like a more slightly airier texture. It has a sort of much lighter feel. The sort of fabric I think is a little bit more open. Yeah, I would kind of say it's an airier fabric compared to, are we going to be able to get side by side? Yeah, can you see that? It's like this one is holding its shape more than this one. And yeah, as I started knitting it, I wasn't unhappy with this, but I just sort of thought, I think I felt that it'd be more pleasing if it was a narrower, what am I trying to say? I'm not trying to say narrower, but a more dense fabric that just had a bit more weight to it. It just feels a bit more substantial, I think. It was a little bit daunting thinking I was going to knit a whole blanket on 3.5mm needles, which is quite small, but actually it's been fine. It's been growing really quickly, and I'm not going to go for a huge blanket. I think the pattern might go up to about 80cm, I can't be sure, but that information, I'll link the pattern and everything in the show notes below. But basically my nephew has a really great little blanket. It's been so useful in sort of the first year, just for using in the buggy or popping over the car seat or the bouncer, just as like a little layer, but it's quite a small blanket. I think I did ask my sister to measure it and she said it was 55 by 60cm, which yeah, it's just been a really useful size. So I'm sort of aiming for that, that kind of size. And I think I've already measured it. It's about 40cm already if I stretch it out. So it's actually knit really quickly considering I'm still on the first ball, although the rows are getting longer and longer. But it's a really enjoyable pattern. I do like Helen Stewart's patterns, and this has been really easy to follow, and it's so easy to memorise. All I've been doing, actually, you can see on the back of my phone, I've got a post-it where I've been just checking off the rows so I can keep track of how many repeats I've done. And yeah, I've just found it really easy to do. There's not, I think there's one row every section that you kind of have to concentrate a little bit more on, but it's so repetitive that it's a very nice meditative knit to work on in the evening. So I've pretty much been working on that, which is why I don't have a lot more to show you actually, because I've just been really working on the blanket. It's a nice project to work in the evenings, and I'm wanting to finish it before the baby comes, so I've kind of got a bit of a deadline on that. So yeah, so I'm really happy with how that's turning out, and I think it's going to be just as lovely as Deb's. That was Twinkle, and that's her name, and her blanket looks beautiful. So I was really confident doing this yarn and casting on this pattern, and I can actually see me knitting many more of these for babies, because lots of my friends have got babies on the way or they've got little ones, and yeah, it's really nice to give something special that someone can really use. I feel like a blanket's something that you can always use. Something like clothing, maybe you need to be a bit more like to the mum's taste, but I think with a blanket, yeah, it's a really nice easy project to gift. So I've got that. What else do I have to show you? I think that might be everything. The only other thing I was going to talk about briefly is last time I was talking to you, I mentioned that I was going to do another flax light, and that plan has changed, and I'll show you. I've got a picture here. I'm going to do the Dog Star by Tin Can Knits, and I've got a picture of it, which I hope you'll be able to see. But I'm going to make one of these for my nephew. And my sister basically, she wants this pattern, but she'd like it, I love it in the white, but it's not practical for a 1-year-old, so we're kind of doing the inverse. So she chose this Knit Picks, what colour is it, Rainforest Heather. It's a lovely merino and it can go in the washing machine, so that's important to her. And I'm going to do the colourwork yoke in the white, so the body will be in this lovely like teal green, and then the accent in the yoke will be in this colour. I've never used Knit Picks before, but it was really easy ordering. It comes over from America, but it came really quickly. The shipping was really reasonable, so I'm actually really interested to see how this turns out. I ordered a whole load of yarn for a sweater for myself, but I talk about that another time when I'm actually knitting it, because I don't like saying out loud that I'm going to do something when I've got all these other projects going on, just because it might take me ages to get to that. So I've got that over here, and when I get to casting on something else for myself, when I've finished my deep moss pot sweater, then yeah, then it will be time to share that with you. So yeah, so that's the only other little bit that I was going to talk about knitting. Don't have any sewing today, haven't been doing any sewing apart from for the shop, but I thought I'd mention one thing which is knitting related, and it's one of these shavers. It's a clothes shaver that I got for Christmas, and yeah, I just thought I'd briefly mention this because I've always been scared of these, but it is fantastic. It's really good. I've been obsessively debobbling all of my sweaters. It has the tiniest little chamber for keeping these in, so it actually takes quite a while because it's constantly getting full up and you're having to change it. But I don't know, I was scared that it was going to eat up my sweaters, and it doesn't. I can confidently say this has been fine. I haven't had any problems with it, and at first obviously I was being really light and careful, and you can just judge by, yeah, you can see what's happening with the sweater, how much you can press, and yeah, I think it seemed much more scary. I've always used a sweater comb where you brush across the sweater and it pulls all the pills off, but I actually seem to have lost it, and I can't have lost it properly because it must be in the house somewhere. It's not something that I've ever taken out the house, but you know these things, it's like miraculously disappeared. So at Christmas I asked for one of these, and I thought I'm going to give that a try because I know that my sweater comb will turn up sometimes, so I didn't really want to order another one of those, but I thought maybe it's the time to try this. So yeah, if you're interested in me talking more about how I care for my sweaters and that kind of thing, because I think it's really important for the longevity of all your hand knits that you look after things, and you like, I don't know, you just take that little bit of time to take care of them when you've put so much time into making something. I think it really makes a difference if you can sort of keep them looking great. And yeah, so if you want me to talk about that more, maybe I can another time. But I just thought I'd mention, if you've been a bit scared of these as well, like I was, that I imagined like this blade was just gonna, I don't know, just go right the way through the fabric, but it seems very safe. I think it's kind of drawing, it almost feels like there's air maybe just pulling in the pills into these little sections. But yeah, so just a little tip from me if you're looking for something like that. I'll link to this one in the show notes below. I've mentioned the show notes a few times. If you're looking for those, I always put a link below here, and basically it goes into my blog, and I have a list of all the patterns, the yarn, any bits like this that I've mentioned, so you can yeah, find all the details for that. If you want them to your email, I also send an email out to anybody that's on my show notes mailing list. You can sign up from the link below. And yeah, basically anytime I put up a video, those people get an email straight away saying there's a new video gone live on YouTube, and right there in the email I put all the information about everything that I've got, so it's really easy to access. And also you can see before you watch the video what I've been talking about, so you know if it's of interest. So that's something that a lot of people seem to really enjoy, so I'm glad that I started doing that. Yeah. So I think that's everything. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love it. Why don't you tell me below what you're working on? Because whenever I ask that question, it's so interesting. Everybody puts all these different patterns, and I can check them out, and I always add new things to my queue and start thinking about other projects that I want to be working on. So I'd love it if you told me what you're working on, and while you're there, if you want to like and subscribe, that would be great. Yeah, I love chatting to you today, and and hopefully next time I have a little bit of sewing. I'm starting to have a little bit of that feeling that spring's coming, so maybe I should start thinking about my spring wardrobe, and that's always something that has a little bit more sewing than knitting, so yeah, I'm sure that's on the cards. But you have a great day and I will see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.